Escape from New York, 1981. 20 weird facts you didn't know. 44 years ago, a film thundered onto screens and into legend. Escape from New York. It wasn't just another dystopian action flick. It was a fever dream of society's collapse, where Manhattan transforms from a symbol of endless possibility to a sprawling prison, an entire island walled off, every street an outlaw's lair, every shadow hiding something hungry or haunted. Today, we're prying open the vault on 20 of the boldest, strangest truths behind this classic, exposing the feverish creativity, the risks, the accidents, and the sacrifices behind each grimy, glorious frame. Let's dive into the story and those veiled mysteries that shaped not just a movie, but a lasting cinematic legend. The ruined city that built two futures. To conjure Manhattan's decay, John Carpenter and crew built an entire miniature city in a workshop. Streets and buildings were battered, blackened with paint. Tiny light sources placed just so, tricking cameras and audiences into believing they'd stepped onto crumbling Broadway. But that wasn't the end for these models. After the cameras wrapped, they received a second life across town, repurposed on the set of Ridley Scott's Blade Runner. What was Manhattan's ruin was reborn as Los Angeles of 2019, reskinned in blinking neon and perpetual night. In an era before digital effects, ingenuity and recycling sculpted worlds out of dust and string and make-believe. James Cameron's humble origins. In 1981, a young James Cameron labored quietly on Escape from New York, working on matte paintings, vast canvases bringing desolate skylines and looming, flickering buildings to life. Patiently, window by window, brick by brick, he laid the visual foundations of the city through paint, not pixels. Nobody on set guessed this meticulous artisan would one day reinvent blockbuster cinema with his own classics. But in that low-lit workshop, a master was learning his trade. Each stroke foreshadowed the epic grandeur Cameron would deliver to the world, where the last scene was born. Movie magic sometimes means last-minute chaos. The death scene of Maggie, Snake's fierce ally, was caught in a production snag. There was no proper shot of her in the aftermath. Time and money had run dry. With no options left, director John Carpenter invited his cast and a skeleton crew to his garage. Cushions on a cold garage floor became Maggie's final resting place. A single camera and bare-bones lighting sealed her fate. Sometimes, cinematic legends are not born on vast sound stages, but in the cramped, makeshift corners we never see. A president with a secret backstory. Donald Pleasence, the film's gravely presidential captive, added a hidden layer to his role. Instead of riffing on typical American authority, he privately imagined his character as a British puppet president, installed after America collapsed and fell under outside rule. The deep, booming accent wasn't just an actor's quirk. It was an entire imagined history, never mentioned but always felt. These hidden depths colored every line and glance, adding gravitas to a role that could have played as simple caricature. When stunts became dangerous realities. Professional wrestling titan Ox Baker stepped onto the set to duel Kurt Russell's Snake in one of the film's goriest showdowns, a brutal fight with a spiked baseball bat. But that bat, it was frighteningly real. The spikes weren't rubber. Baker wore only a thin protective layer beneath his shirt. One misstep could have ended careers or worse, but the fight went forward, raw and nerve-rattling, proof of the era's commitment to dangerous authenticity in action, panic in the streets. Special effects bled into the real world when the production staged a crashed airplane right in downtown St. Louis to simulate Air Force One's fall. Residents awoke to find what looked like fresh wreckage, smoke, and flashing lights. A stage so convincing that newspapers and city officials believed it was a true disaster. Panic swept the streets. Lines blurred between fiction and reality for days as the spectacle consumed local headlines. Saving Snake's cool. Kurt Russell's Snake Plissken is the definition of cool. Silent, sharp-eyed, a man of few but weighty actions. A script draft included a scene of Snake flicking a cigarette in the president's face in contempt. But Russell was adamant. This didn't fit Snake's stoic contempt and risked making him a parody rather than an icon. The detail was cut, conserving a singular aura for one of cinema's great anti-heroes. The studio almost cast someone else. In 1981, Kurt Russell was still the charming face of Disney movies. Studio heads preferred safe bets like Chuck Norris or Tommy Lee Jones for the vengeful outlaw role. But John Carpenter argued for Russell, seeing in him the sharpness and edge that Snake needed. The film's success proved him right. Russell was immortalized, and a new kind of action hero was born. Manhattan by way of St. Louis. Despite the name, Escape from New York was mostly filmed in the derelict areas of St. Louis. Only one brief shot, sweeping past the Statue of Liberty, was shot in New York itself. The rest of the city was an elaborate mask, blending Midwest ruins into believable East Coast nightmares. This creative subterfuge became the blueprint for future urban dystopias. The voice who opened the gates. From the film's first seconds, a chilling narration sets the scene. That uncredited voice? It's Jamie Lee Curtis, an icon in her own right from Carpenter's Halloween. Her icy delivery dropped viewers straight into the prison's shadow, subtly connecting Carpenter's worlds in more ways than one. The Lost Bank Robbery. The movie originally opened with a complex, noisy bank heist, introducing Snake as a criminal mastermind in action. But test audiences found it distracting, muddling his mystique. Carpenter made a tough call, dropping the sequence, and in doing so ensured that Snake would enter as an enigma, a legend with no need for backstory. A legendary poster. The film's most iconic image, the decapitated Statue of Liberty head in the street, exists only in promotional materials. It never appears in the film itself, but this invented tableau has haunted pop culture for decades, influencing subsequent blockbusters with visions of catastrophic ruin. Real helicopters, real obsession. Those rumbling helicopters, not clever miniatures or fake sounds. The film used vehicles and crews provided by the National Guard. Carpenter, fascinated by the machines, earned a pilot's license not long after, carrying a piece of his movie into real life. Working the night shift. To maintain the film's unending darkness, production shot every night from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Cast and crew inhabited a reverse world, sleeping by day, working by night, the city's real-life wreckage returning to normal each morning, only to be redressed as a nightmare every evening. The experience blurred lines between fiction and reality, amplifying tension on and off camera. Details of a villain. Isaac Hayes, as the warlord Duke, insisted on injecting subtle quirks, a nervous tick here, a glowering stare there, to layer his portrayal. While some details didn't make the final cut, Hayes' intensity left a chill that runs beneath every scene. A star's painful dedication. Veteran actor Lee Van Cleef joined the production just weeks after knee surgery remained on his feet for grueling night shoots, hiding pain from the camera to give his character a genuine edge of authority and vulnerability. Presidential connections. Among Air Force One's Secret Service detail, Stephen Ford, son of President Gerald Ford, making a cameo that threw a sly wink at real-world politics. Rejected for years, Carpenter wrote the script in 1974, but studios believed it was too bleak, too violent for mainstream audiences, until Carpenter's reputation after Halloween allowed the project to move forward, signaling a shift toward darker, edgier storytelling in Hollywood. Art imitates life. Season Hubley, who plays a chance acquaintance of Snake's, was actually Kurt Russell's wife, appearing on set not long after giving birth, a convergence of personal and professional lives in the film's shadowy world. Inspiration for Snake. The mythic Snake Plissken was based on a real-life tough nicknamed Snake, whom Carpenter remembered from high school. He wore a snake tattoo and had a demeanor as defiant as the world he would one day inspire on screen. Escape from New York is more than the sum of its wild rumors and shadowy tales. It's the product of relentless creativity, grit, and the collision of larger-than-life personalities, actors and artists, writers and technicians, each leaving fingerprints on every frame. Decades later, its world still captivates, and its secrets still inspire. If this inside look piqued your interest, share it with film-loving friends and subscribe so you never miss more in-depth journeys into cinema's unknown corners.